happening, guys? Welcome back to my channel. You guys already know what it is. First and foremost, big up to everyone that's locked in. I know I'm late. I'm sorry, guys. That's not really a thing that I do here. I'm not usually late for streams. Just today I happen to be late, but big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. We got a bit of an interactive one again today. This time I want to hear people's thoughts. I want to hear people's thoughts because, you know, I said it yesterday on the watch along. I said after that Sancho performance, this would be the hottest topic of discussion the next day. And it is. Lo and behold, it is exactly what is the topic of discussion. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. Today is election day here in the UK, voting for local councillors, and London, I think, is voting for the mayor, if I'm not wrong. I might be wrong. So if you haven't gotten out to go and vote, go and vote. And make sure you vote properly, vote correctly. Take some ID as well, because you have to take some ID to go and vote. But you lot know what it is, man. Today I'm rocking a QPR shirt today, a particular one. I don't know if I turn around if you lot might be able to see what's on my back, but this is a special shirt to me. Always watched QPR growing up. Just generally kept up with them, especially when recently when Ethan Laird was there on loan. Albert Adoma gifted me this shirt after I interviewed him last year, and today he announced that he was leaving QPR after a record number of appearances in the championship. I think it's like 525 appearances in the championship overall. So I had to bring out a special shirt because it's one that he gifted me. It's signed, says his name on the back. I need to frame it. I don't usually wear shirts that are signed, that have been gifted to me, but this one I just, you know, it's a one-off. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Of course, we're going to talk about Jadon Sancho, some breakdown I'm going to say about his performance just in general. You know me, man, I like to listen to podcasts, read articles after a game, and there was a great article that I was reading on The Athletic today that really broke down the way that Jadon Sancho played. So I thought I should share it and see how can United get this out of him, because one thing I will say is with Jadon Sancho, there has never been a doubt that he's talented. I don't think anybody has ever doubted that he was talented, in my opinion. It's just the circumstances that he found himself at the club. And you know what, guys, I'm going to be so honest. Sometimes it's not a coincidence, because you look at how many players have failed at United over the last 10 years. Jadon Sancho might just be another name on that list. And that is more telling about the toxic situation at the club, and how things are handled at a club level than anything else. I don't solely blame the player. Jadon Sancho, we've been knowing he is talented. We knew. I don't think it's a surprise that he performed the way he did yesterday or over the last couple months, how he's been having decent performances for Borussia Dortmund, few goals, few assists, especially off the back of what was a difficult season last year for him mentally. Thierry Henry touched on it on CBS as well, about how, you know, as a footballer, if you are mentally not in the right space, nothing matters. Talent doesn't matter, mentality don't matter, hard work don't matter. If you are mentally not in a safe space, in a comfortable place, you will struggle. And he was mentioning that when he was talking about Jadon Sancho. This whole stream will not be about Jadon Sancho, of course, but I'd like to hear people's thoughts later into the stream when we get through all the content. Ten Hag pre-match press conference as always, so we got some comments about that. Inevitably, he was asked about Jadon Sancho. He spoke about Bruno Fernandes. He spoke about Marcus Rashford, two of them carrying injuries right now. So that's the injury list growing ahead of the fixture against Crystal Palace on Monday. Can I just say, guys, Monday football is actually not the worst thing, because I can just enjoy my weekend without United ruining it. And it can be a problem for Monday. Like that game on Monday is Monday's problem. It's not Sunday's problem or Saturday. Saturday now, I can go out and enjoy my Saturday. I can do my content on Sunday and be happy with a smile on my face. Yes, at the back of my mind, I'm remembering that United are playing in the coming days, but that's a problem for Monday. But obviously, Erik ten Hag was talking to the media ahead of the fixture against Crystal Palace away from home. So, you know, we're going to have some comments about that. Now, like clockwork, yesterday I said it after the game. I said the Sancho, I'm not going to say propaganda. I don't like to call it propaganda, but the content around Sancho is going to be at an all-time high. And Borussia Dortmund's own account, their own page, tweeted this after a game. They did it in black and yellow, just like their @name says. The picture's in black and yellow. You all owe him an apology. We were always familiar with his game. This is just shameless, because then after this, they're going to come and try hustle United for maybe another loan spell. They're going to try hustle United for maybe a 25 million fee. They're going to try, if you were familiar with his game and you want him permanently and he wants to stay and United want him to go, then pay up accordingly. Simple as that. Pay up accordingly. You're saying you're familiar with his game, then his game must cost about 50 million. If you're familiar with the game that he plays. Shout out to Jadon Sancho, because I said this yesterday. I just want to see him playing football happy. Like, he was speaking to CBS after the game. Jamie Carragher licked off his head. Yeah. And he just looked happy. He spoke about, you know, just working hard and all of this kind of stuff. And you lot might, and people might say, for me, it's not Ten Hag versus Sancho, because my stance on the Ten Hag thing, I said Ten Hag went a bit far with some of the things that he did. But some of the stuff was warranted. I mean, the brother was eating food outside of Carrington, basically. He was not allowed to eat in the canteen, in the senior canteen for the senior squad. I understand, you know, maybe banishing him from the dressing room, but that is a step too far. However, I don't want to turn this into Ten Hag versus Sancho, because to me, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. Sancho would never have flourished, even if it was another manager. If you had put any other manager there, I don't think Sancho would have flourished, because he evidently was struggling with many things outside of football. And now he's at Dortmund, where all he has to do is focus on football. And that's exactly what he's doing. That is exactly what he's doing. Erik Ten Hag was asked about him. Of course, I think it was like the first question that was asked about him. Oh, this is wrong one. Ugh, I'm such a disgrace, man. This is what happens when I got too many tabs open. This is what happens, guys, when I clearly have not prepared properly for my stream, because I have too many tabs open right now and I've been flicking back and forth between the wrong stuff. Let me find this, because he was actually asked a lot of stuff. And shout out to UV, because they always come through with the content for press conferences so that I don't have to sit and watch the entire thing. He was asked about Jadon Sancho in the pre-match press conference, and he said, so let's say this. Yesterday, he played very good and he's a very good player. Yesterday, he showed why Manchester United brought him and he showed he represents a high value for Manchester United, which is good. I'm happy for Jadon for the performance yesterday, and we'll see what is going to happen in the future. It's funny because every time anytime Sancho scores, anytime he assists, you know, doing what he did yesterday on the stage that he did. Listen, Champions League football itself, it's not, everyone don't perform on it. And that's why I don't like to downplay what Jadon Sancho's performance yesterday. He was key for so many stuff for Dortmund. I'm going to break down some of his individual contributions to the game as well. Could have had, I think, 2 assists at the least. He could have had 2 assists. And he just looked a lot more comfortable on the ball. Why? Because Dortmund were involved in possession. Jadon Sancho, I've said this time and time again, Jadon Sancho flourishes in a system that dominates possession. When he came to Manchester United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, although it was just a couple months before I think Solskjaer got sacked, United were playing counter-attacking football. That is not where he flourishes. He came into Ten Hag's system last year, had 1 or 2 good games. I remember he scored against Liverpool when he sat Van Dijk and them down. But again, Erik Ten Hag's system, he said it himself. He wants to be the best counter-attacking team in the world. He said it himself. That is not a system for a player like Jadon Sancho to flourish. And can I say, not just Jadon Sancho, I don't think that's a system for Amad Diallo either. People said Jadon Sancho didn't defend. Yesterday he was defending. They said that he can't beat a man. He had Nuno Mendes on toast. Who is actually a very good left back, if I'm being honest. They said he doesn't like to play on the right and he prefers to play on the left. He played on the right. A lot of the on the pitch stuff that people criticize Sancho for, he shut the critics up. Now, what the thing surrounding Jadon Sancho at Manchester United is not the on the pitch stuff. I think it's the off the pitch stuff. And one thing I will say is I kind of rate Jadon Sancho in a way because he betted on himself. He stood his ground. Some people might say he shouldn't have. Some people might have said he was being stubborn. But Jadon Sancho stood his ground and he said that he was not going to apologize. Like I said, many people say he should have. Some say he shouldn't have. But he believed that he was not wrong. He betted on himself, went to Dortmund, and is one step closer to get into a Champions League final with Dortmund. Now, they still have, obviously, the second leg at Paris to play. So there's still all to play for that. But for me, you want your players to perform, like, and I hate this idea that you have to be player FC or manager FC. I think this entire situation with Jadon Sancho, you can see it from both sides. Like, if you are truly looking at it from rose-tinted glasses, you will only see it from one side. But if you're seeing it, you know, fully for what it is, you will be able to see and understand it from both perspectives. Of course, I think with the dramatic decisions taken by Eric Ten Hag, sometimes I feel maybe there's a lot that we don't know, and there's a lot that the media doesn't know. We only know what the media knows. So maybe there was a lot more that happened that we are not privy to. But again, if you are, I will say, I'm going to say a reasonable fan, you can see it from both perspectives. You can see it from Ten Hag's side. You can see it from Jadon Sancho's side. I seen people that want Sancho to do bad on loan. I've seen people online saying, I want him to do bad, you know, hate, we're going to hate, this is a hate watch. And then I've seen people that want Eric Ten Hag to be proven wrong. And that's why they want Sancho to do well. I want Sancho to do well because I just want him to do well. I don't care about, you know, honestly, guys, I'll be so real. Whether whether Sancho comes back to United or not, it's not the end all or be all. I've seen many players leave Manchester United. I've seen many players. I just want Sancho as a young footballer, or you know, to do well. I just want him to do well. Whether it's off the back of Manchester United, so be it. Whether it's off the back of a 3-year spell at United that really didn't have anything to show for it, all right, cool. But I just want him to do well. And same with Eric Ten Hag. I said this many times, you know, back earlier into the season, December, November, I was saying I want Ten Hag to turn this around. I wanted him to turn it around. I lost hope later into the season. I'm talking about, you know, in coming weeks, I've just become numb to everything. But if Ten Hag does leave Manchester United, I would like him to go wherever and do well, as long as he doesn't go to like a rival club. I would like him to go and do well. Whether or not that happens is a different conversation. Like I said, you lot know I love reading articles after games. I love breakdowns and all of that stuff, and none better than the Athletic to do exactly that. Let me zoom out so you lot can get a better view of it. Here's a little graph that they provided. If you lot enjoy analytical stuff, especially after games, you can go read it. Read on the Athletic. They always have breakdowns after every game, not just Man United, but just every game in general. And this is no different. Jadon Sancho has been, you know, deemed as this player that can't play on the right. Yesterday, he defeated, you know, those critics, I will say. He defeated those critics. This is where he had predominantly most of his touches against PSG. You can see most of it is in that touchline space. Some of it is in that, you know, just outside of the box, in the half space between the 10 and the winger. He was getting involved. Didn't really drift out to the left as much because Adeyemi was playing out there, but it's predominantly touchline football. Dare I say, it's what Anthony does this at United. The only difference is Jadon Sancho was able to beat his man quite regularly. His passes, again, a lot of it progressive passes. Going forward. If he had to go back or to the side, he did. But he was trying to beat his players as much as possible. An 88% pass completion. This is not me tooting his horn, but this is just me trying to put things into context before I open the floor to everybody else, because like I said, I want to hear people's thoughts. 88% completion, you know, taking on his man. I wish they had a stat here with more numbers in terms of how he beat his man, how many times he beat his man. They didn't provide that, but this is very telling. Put Sancho in a team that has regular possession, you will get a Jadon Sancho that can perform well. Simple. It's really just 1 + 1 = 2. Now, Jadon Sancho, like I said, will fall victim to what a lot of other players at Manchester United have in the last decade under this Manchester United team. He's gonna fall victim to a lot of it. He's happy again. He's playing football at a top level, and that's what you want. That's what you want. You have to be happy for him. This is not about Sancho versus the manager. We need a manager who can play a system where ballers like Sancho and Ahmad can play and thrive 100%. And I just think that Ten Hag's system, based off what Ten Hag has said himself, I don't think it's a system for players like Sancho and Ahmad. They will thrive, and they thrive in systems that dominate possession, that take care of possession. Sancho yesterday gave the ball away a few times, or he tried to beat a man and got dispossessed. He got it. He won the ball back multiple occasions. Eric Ten Hag has emphasized multiple times that the goal is The goal is to be the best counter-attacking team in the world. I don't think that is what a lot of fans thought they were getting with Manchester United when Erik ten Hag came in. I don't think it was that. And for me, that is not a system for players like Sancho, players like Ahmad, players on a technical level that need the ball at their feet in close proximity. Teams, is Sancho, I'm not going to say Sancho's a system player. He's got the talent, but he thrives in a system. He doesn't thrive in chaos ball. Ahmad doesn't thrive in chaos ball. There are many players in the world that do not thrive in chaos ball. For example, you take Jack Grealish. You turn Jack Grealish has been turned into a system player. He does not look as exciting as what he was at Aston Villa. Doesn't get the goals, doesn't get the assists. Pep has turned him into a system player, and sometimes that takes the talent out of a player when you turn them into a system player. I don't think Sancho needs a system. I don't think the thing is I think that the system that Erik ten Hag has built currently or wants to build is not the system for Sancho, and it's just as simple as that. Dortmund haven't had the greatest season this year. I know fans have not been happy with them, but in the Champions League they've had a good run. And they're one step closer to getting, Champions League, to get into a Champions League final. And Sancho could be part of that. Sancho could return to Carrington in the summer with a Champions League medal. Of course, there's still a whole nother leg to play. There's another team to meet in the final. So there's still 2 games of football left. But it is very possible that Jadon Sancho could return to Carrington. And I will be so happy for him if he returns back with a Champions League. Of course, you lot already know my stance. I want PSG versus Real Madrid in the final, even though PSG stunk the place up yesterday. I would like PSG versus Real Madrid in the final. But that is just my thoughts. That is just my thoughts on Jadon Sancho. If Dortmund are dead ass on him and they're saying we've been knowing the kind of player he is, then absolutely pay up. Pay up or get the hell out of here. Pay up or get the hell out of here. Big up to V with the super chat. Appreciate the super chat. Says Dortmund is 5th in the league, so we are judging this off one UCL game. This guy can't impact a Farmers League. In the EPL, he ain't cut for it. That's some harsh words. I'll be real. That's kind of harsh. I'll be real. I've watched Dortmund probably about 4 times since Sancho left to go to them. I've watched them about 4 times, predominantly in the Champions League. I think I watched 1 league game of theirs. For me, this was the biggest standout game. I think we're also undermining. I hope we're not undermining the semi-final stage in the Champions League. Yesterday, some players didn't impact the game. Some players did not impact the game yesterday. Let's keep that in mind. Yesterday, I think it was Matt Hummels that got player of the match. Could have easily gone to Sancho if he had an assist. Sancho had 2 opportunities. Sancho put 2 opportunities on a plate for his teammates. They couldn't put it away. He could have had 2 assists, would have got man of the match, would have been a different conversation. But let's not undermine the idea of, because we're saying Bundesliga is Farmers League. They're getting the 5th spot in European football. They're getting the 5th spot. There is no English teams left in any of. I think Villa is the only team left. Villa is the only team left right now in European football. Leverkusen's still there, Dortmund's still there, Bayern's still there. Could be an all-German final. Let's not downplay other leagues and say, oh, that's a Farmers League. Because if we're going off of, what teams still remain, the French still have a team, Spanish still have a team, the Germans still have a team, English don't have a team in the Champions League. So let's not undermine or downplay that. Whether or not he does it on a consistent basis, though, that I think that's where the conversation is to be had. I think that's where the conversation can be had about whether Jadon Sancho is doing things on a consistent basis. Yesterday's game, I think, put things into perspective. I mean, that's why I'm emphasizing, Champions League stage. This is why I'm emphasizing Champions League stage. Most successful take-ons in a UCL knockout stage. I don't know if you lot can actually see that properly. There you go. Most successful take-ons. I know this is just a stat. This is a stat for the people who like aesthetically pleasing players. This is a stat for people who like to watch watch a player running at a man. This is that kind of stat. It's crazy that Neymar is the 4 out of the top 5. So let's not downplay what this means. Let's honestly not downplay what this means, because Neymar was doing this consistently in knockout games. Consistently. No one else in European football in the Champions League was doing this regularly. Jadon Sancho hasn't done this regularly, but he's done it to a level that Neymar was doing it. I mean, Neymar at his, most entertaining for me when he was at Barcelona, is only up here once. Only up here once. 15 for PSG versus Atalanta, 15 Barcelona versus Juve, and Neymar again 13 versus Real Madrid for PSG, and then versus Napoli again, for PSG, and then Jadon Sancho 13. Let's not downplay what Jadon Sancho did, please, on the Champions League stage. You can have your opinions of him, you can have your thoughts on him, but this is no small man thing. And this is why I say it's so important for a player to be playing with confidence. It is so important for a player to be playing with confidence, to be playing with a smile on their face. When Jadon Sancho, it was first announced that he was leaving to go back to Dortmund on loan, I just said, I want him to play well. I want him to be happy, play football with a smile on his face, let everything else, kind of trickle into order, if you want to say that. Because when you play, happy, when you play with a smile on your face, when you play like you're enjoying the game again, it doesn't matter what happens in a game, as long as you're confident. And confidence does a big thing, because yesterday, if you watch that game, you can see that he's looking like a confident player, head up, taking on a man, getting back. Even he was telling Ryerson at some point, I think it was like 10 or 15 minutes into the game, he's telling his fullback, overlap me. This is a guy who's confident, who has found his voice again. He's found his voice. I'm not saying that Ten Hag took away his voice, but I'm saying that he's found his voice on the football pitch because he's playing with confidence. He's playing with a smile on his face. He's playing with his head up. And simple as that, like whether or not Sancho comes back to United next year, like it is what it is if he comes back to United, or if he doesn't come back to United. I think there's a lot more other things that United need to sort out before they kind of turn their attention to this situation with Jadon Sancho. I saw reports, I think it was yesterday actually, before the game, that was saying that United expect to sell Jadon Sancho in the summer. So I think maybe this is an answer to my own question, because it says it at the top. It says another chance for Jadon Sancho. Maybe this is an answer to my own question. Maybe there is no other chance for Jadon Sancho. Maybe that's him done at United, and this is the beginning of the new phase of his life, and that won't be the worst thing. That will definitely not be the worst thing. In my opinion, Sancho got enough chances at United. He should be sold in the summer. Did he though? Really? Did he really get enough chances? If we're being really honest, guys. And when I say did he get enough chances, I'm talking about the fact that he didn't come into stability. He came in 1 year after he should have come. In my opinion, he should have come to United at the year before he came, but it took them too long to come to a deal with Dortmund. So after all of that, he comes in. The manager that buys him has a plan for United. Bringing in Sancho, you got Rashford, you got Bruno, you've got Cavani. Then the club come and say that they're signing Ronaldo. So now the manager changes his plan, building his team around a 30-something-year-old, nearly 40 Cristiano Ronaldo. Completely changes the way that United would have expected to play, or maybe they were planning how they were planning to play. And Oli confirmed it kind of on the overlap, where he said that it changed how they were going to approach the season when they found out that Ronaldo was now coming in. So all of that happens. Then the manager that brings you in gets sacked. A new manager comes in. Ralf Rangnick, to me, was just, he was there for, I don't want to say he's there for a paycheck, but he was there for his consultancy job. He wasn't there for his managerial job. When he realized the managerial job was going to craps and he was not going to stay, he just blew up everything in press conferences. And rightly so, he should do that. But again, a new manager then comes in. So you're on your third manager by your second season. By the second year in a club, you are on your third manager. Then, of course, we're not privy to know, and this is, I don't think we should be, we're not privy to know what happened in Jadon Sancho's personal life that led him down the path that he was not mentally in the right place to play anymore. But he then went away, trained for months, returned back towards the latter end of the season. Jadon Sancho has not had 1 year of normality at Manchester United. He's not. So this idea that he's had his chances, he might have had his 1 or 2 games that he started, or he's played, or he scored, or he assisted. but he's not had 1 year of a normal season at Manchester United. Just one, like, even had he stayed this year, and if this all didn't happen, you know, he might have been getting little poverty minutes here and there, because Garnacho and Rashford have basically solidified those wings. So if he didn't go to Dortmund, I really think it's the best thing he did for his career, and it's the best thing he could have done for United as well, because now he can get a valuation that can increase the opportunity to sell him, and that way he can move on. United can move on. But this idea that Sancho had fair chances, I don't know, man. The guy hasn't had 1 year of normality at the club. He has not had one season of just consistent, regular football. On and off the pitch, he hasn't had normality. Maybe it might do him well being at Dortmund, because then you're away from England and the UK and your home, you know, your home neighborhood that you grew up in and all of that kind of stuff. And you could just be in Germany and just focus on playing football and coming back to England, you know, when you get time off, because players don't always get time off. If I was Sancho, I wouldn't want nothing to do with United. They made him eat with the kids and train with the kids, lying that he's lazy. That narrative, for me, I think, you know, banishing him from the dressing room is one thing, but to banish him from the canteen like that, I thought that was dramatic, and I said it at the time. And that's why I continuously say, I don't know what has really happened. Do you guys genuinely think that it's only this situation of him putting a statement online after Ten Hag said something about him after the Arsenal game? Do you really think that is just it? Because the reaction from Eric Ten Hag is a bit, I thought it was a bit OTT. And I said it at the time. I said, this is a bit over the top from Eric Ten Hag, because it's one thing to banish you from training until you apologize. I understand that, because you went online and you basically fired shots at your manager. But then to go a step further to say, furthermore, you cannot even come in the dressing room. You cannot even come to games. You cannot even come into the canteen for the senior team. You have to eat with the under 18s or the under 21s. There was points where Jadon Sancho was literally seen at under 21s and under 18 games at Manchester. He couldn't even go to Old Trafford to watch Man United games. He had to, I don't even know if he watched the games, but I genuinely think it's a lot from Eric Ten Hag for something not that big. And let's be real, you know, some people might say it's a big deal what Sancho did. It is a big deal in the instance that you're going online in 2023 at that time to belittle your manager, and indirectly suggest stuff about the club, i.e. you're being used as a scapegoat. That is a big deal, but it's not a big deal to warrant the reaction that it did. And that is my stance on it. And that has always been my stance on it. You don't know, I've never changed my stance on it. That has been my opinion of it. And I've also said that I understand Ten Hag's perspective and I understand Jadon's. I understand both perspectives in it. It's reasonable, it's understandable, and I can see it from both sides of the story. And I think just in general, these kind of stuff, you know, there was reports that, and I don't want to sidetrack, but there was reports that Anthony had, you know, stormed out of a session because he found out he wasn't going to play. He wasn't going to start against Bournemouth. There was multiple reports about this, multiple reports. United got that under wraps quickly. They got it under wraps quickly. And I'm not saying this because I want Anthony to leave the club, because I don't I don't think he's a good player. I'm not saying this, but I'm just saying that it's very clear that the club will pick and decide the things that they get rid of and sweep under the carpet when it comes to the media, and the things that they leave to just kind of settle with the crowd and with the audience. Big up to Dark says the truth will come out when either Sancho or Ten Hag leaves. 100%. It'll be one or the other. That's why I do not see Jadon Sancho returning next season if Eric Ten Hag is still the manager. Let me make that clear. It will be one or the other. It will be Ten Hag stays and Sancho leaves, or Sancho might come back and Eric Ten Hag leaves. However, I will say that if Eric Ten Hag leaves Manchester United, I hope Jadon Sancho does too. Not because I don't think he deserves to be at United, but I think he just needs a clean slate. The same way that I'm saying Rashford should leave United so he can just have a fresh start. Jadon Sancho should do that as well. Because you don't want to waste another year or two at Manchester United where let's be real, if Eric Ten Hag leaves, next year will be the beginning of the rebuild. It will be Eric Ten Hag literally shut down rumours today about, you know, selling half of the squad. It's going to take a few years, a few transfer windows for an overhaul. Jadon Sancho and many other players shouldn't waste their time where they've already been unsuccessful, especially like Jadon Sancho, who's not been that big of a success at Manchester United in the last 3 years. Don't waste another 2 years. I get it. The paycheck's good. You're getting 350k. I hear that. I hear that. But I think if he's got a good thing at Dortmund right now, and that's when he was in the England squad, stay there. Stay there and keep performing well. It will be the rebuild. It will literally it must be the 4th rebuild at this point. It genuinely, I think it's like the 4th rebuild at that point. I'm all for Rashford to be sold and Sancho is kept. Garnacho left, Sancho right, Ahmad and Anthony for rotation. That would be sensible, wouldn't it? That wouldn't be too bad. However, where the hell are the goals going to come from? I genuinely feel like United need wingers that are going to score. Like, I need a striker that's scoring 30 goals all comps, and I need wingers that are scoring 15, 20 goals all competitions. I want United scoring at a rapid rate. I want United to be scoring. Of course, this is just wishful thinking. Garnacho could give us maybe the best of 15 goals all competitions, a couple of assists as well. Anthony, I won't hold my breath in terms of how many goals he can get me. Amad Diallo for me is more than a rotation player. I think he's more than a rotation player. If Ipswich come up, he should go to Ipswich. If Ipswich come up under McKenna, Amad Diallo should go to Ipswich on a permanent. It would be like basically Tendon Mengi going to Luton or something. Get regular football with a team that is not, the top team in the league. I think Ahmad can perform at a top team, by the way, but I'm just saying for consistent football that he deserves to be playing, Ahmad is not in the same bracket as Anthony, where he should be a rotation, a bench player, 10, 15 minutes a game at best. That's not what he's about. And that's not what his quality is either. But United is going to be, as long as I think the manager has the preferences that he has in terms of who plays where on the wings, it's going to be difficult for any other player to really get a chance, because Pellistri was a good example. It's like Pellistri impressed last year once or twice. This year, before he went out on his loan spell, Erik ten Hag was just like, here you go, Bayern Munich first game, Champions League, you're going to play. I thought he just threw him to the wolves. I felt like that was just him throwing him into the deep end and seeing if he can swim. And he couldn't, because, he didn't have the worst game. He didn't have an amazing game. He didn't have a 10 out of 10 game. But for me, I think that is evident that the manager might have his preferences when it comes to the right-hand side, to the left-hand side. And if you are not that preference, it'll be kind of sink or swim. The manager will throw you in when you least expect it, and it's sink or swim. If you sink, you're getting sold or you're getting sent out on loan. And if you somehow stay up and you don't sink and you swim, then maybe you might warrant some time on the bench, rotation, etc., etc. Fergie used to maintain a 4-striker system. Why did that die out? We don't even have senior consistent striker. That's madness. There was a time we had Cole, York, Sheringham, Solskjaer. There was a time we had Berbatov, we had Rooney, we had Tevez. No, Tevez left at that point, I think. But it's true. There was a point where United had multiple strikers, rotation. There was a time where we had Javier Hernandez, who was happy being that super sub. He was happy with that role. Nowadays, I don't think people, maybe it's the evolution of football and the way football has changed. I don't think people buy into the idea of being that sixth man, being that super sub. Everyone wants to be the superstar. Everyone wants to be the face of the team. Everyone wants to start. Of course, there's I think a lot more of, incentives, financial incentives as well for starting, etc. And on the back of that, international football, getting a call up for your national team. That's another thing. But it's true. I think, like, right now we look at United striker option and we only got Rasmus Højlund. Anthony Martial back in training today. Apparently he's fit to play against Crystal Palace, but he's leaving. So what's the point on relying on him to play the last 3 games of the season? That's my point on Anthony Martial. Another player that is just unfortunate the way he never worked out. It's just, I will never forget. I will never, ever forget. Streets will never let me forget Anthony Martial's debut. I remember where I was watching that game. I wasn't even in the country at the time. I remember where I was. I remember what I was eating. I remember what I was wearing. I remember the commentary like it was yesterday. Another player that just, injuries kind of effed him up a little bit. And some could argue that it was the injuries under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, playing through all the injury issues, etc., that messed him up. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And for that reason, like with Jadon Sancho and other players like Marcus Rashford, etc., I don't want them to run down their contracts, leave on a free, and then we're just going to be like, oh, I'll never forget that goal Sancho scored against Liverpool, or I'll never forget that night in Paris when Rashford scored that penalty. I don't want that. I don't want those kind of situations where you're kind of clutching onto small moments. You're clutching onto little small moments that weren't really defining in the era of Manchester United in this decade, but it was defining for us because it was just a good moment in moments of madness for Manchester United. So I don't want that. I want Jadon Sancho personally. This is my stance. Before anybody ever asks me again, should he come back to United? I want Jadon Sancho to stay at Dortmund and perform well for his own sake. I don't think at Manchester United, he should come back and then for that. This will be now his 4th season at Manchester United since joining. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. 3 seasons hasn't worked out. Let bygones be bygones. Go your separate ways from the club. And you're clearly enjoying football in Dortmund. Dortmund could be that thing that you need, that kind of situation that you need around you outside of England, and then hopefully he's playing well enough to get maybe a call up again under Southgate or whoever's going to be the future manager, because he's still young and he's still a technically gifted player. This is not a guy that's been hindered by physical injuries. His footballing ability is not hindered by the physical aspect of the game. It's all mental. So what do? The place that put you in a mentally bad place, you leave it, you vacate it. And if it's Manchester or it's what surrounds Manchester and the situations around it, go to Dortmund, stay at Dortmund. Just Dortmund have to, if they're talking the talk about you all owe him apology, we were always familiar with his game. If you generally are talking that talk, you better walk the walk when it comes to paying up what you should. You better come and pay up when you should. Just a few other things on Erik ten Hag's post-match press conference. Speaking about the squad overhaul, he said, we're not going to sell a main part of the squad. It's a joke. As long as I've worked every summer, every window, 200 players getting interest from Manchester United. We did some research, and also every summer we sell all the players in our squad, which you all make headlines of. And that takes responsibility how you make such a headline. Find a good source if there's some truth in it. He's saying find a good source. He's telling them you lot ain't got good sources when you're telling stories about how over 200 players got interest from Manchester United and how we're selling our entire squad. He said find a good source if there is some truth in it. He's rattling the media every single press conference. He's got something to say to the media, but I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm not gonna dwell too much on the press conference because there weren't really much to talk about. And I know I said I was gonna do call in, but I can't be asked because I'm hungry. I want to have my dinner. Chelsea versus Tottenham as well. I don't know, who do I want to win? Who do you guys want to win? Chelsea versus Tottenham? Because I need to look at the table quickly. Tottenham right now still 6 off United. Chelsea are 6 off United. So United are 6 off Tottenham, and Chelsea are 6 off United. They're in 9th place. This hope of top. Yeah, we're not getting top. Wait, hold on. We're fighting for top 5. We're not even fighting for. We're 13 points off top. We're 13 points. Sorry, off 4th. Sorry, but I don't care anymore. I don't care. Need a draw. 3-2 Chelsea. 4-4 draw. We can't get top 4 yet. It's mathematically impossible to get top 4. Mathematically possible to get top 5. But I just don't care anymore. Guys, does anybody else feel the same way that I do? Please let me know. So that I don't feel like I'm the only one that feels like this. Because I just don't care anymore. I'm at a feeling now where I'm literally like, I just want the season to end. I go into every game as a prediction or whatever. And I'm just like, prediction? Just want the season to end. Prediction? Just means we're 1 game closer to the season ending. Am I the only one that just doesn't care? And yet I will still sit in front of the television. I'll still sit at the television and watch the game. I will still sit there and I'll do that to myself. I will do that to myself. Because that is what people like me do. That is what people like me do. You have finally caught up to all of us, Mina. I don't know what took me so long to get here, guys. I should have been here a lot more sooner. To be honest, though, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't been really caring too tough since February, like January, February. I ain't really cared too much. We were getting those little run of games in February that were, hype. 2-1 here against Sheffield United, 1-0 here against Luton or whatever. And then we got our asses handed to us by Fulham. I just didn't care. I think I was at a point where I just didn't really care anymore. But it is what it is, man. Season's coming to an end. The quicker that happens, the better. Chelsea versus Tottenham today. I don't think I'm going to do a live stream, guys, because should I plan my evening right now on stream? I need to cook. I need to cook some food. I need to marinate my meat. That fucking sounds weird. I need to marinate my lamb meat. I need to marinate my lamb meat. I need to put it in the oven. I need to make some rice, make some salad. Then I need to eat. And then after that, I need to go and vote because it's elections where I am. So when I go and vote, might just go stop by, say hi to some relatives and whatnot. So maybe no watch along. To be honest, though, why would I want to sit there and watch Chelsea versus Spurs, guys? I'm not joking, guys. No disrespect. What marinade are you using for the lamb? I use a mix of stuff. So I use garam masala. I use like lamb. My mum made me like a concoction of spices. I don't know what she put in it. I guess she probably put I don't know what she put in it actually. I never actually asked her, but she made me a whole tin that she just updates, not updates. She gives me more every time it finishes, basically. So it's got a concoction of stuff, but usually it should have things like coriander and all of that kind of stuff. The last Spurs versus Chelsea was great. I'm not gonna lie, Chelsea have had some entertaining games this season against the big clubs. I remember that City game was, for me, probably one of the most entertaining games this season. Some people say that the Chelsea United one was entertaining, but for me, that was not entertaining. That was literally like hot coal in my eyes. That 4-3 result, but that City versus Chelsea game back in like November or October, that was a good game. That was a good game. Chelsea played good games against the top teams. I went Chelsea versus Newcastle. I watched that at Stamford Bridge. That was an entertaining game as well. Newcastle nearly made a comeback. But guys, on that note, I'm gonna wrap it up. We'll be back tomorrow. Saeed should be on the channel tomorrow. We'll be back as well with the 4 p.m. stream. What else we got coming up? We got a watch along on Sunday for the women's game, another stream on Saturday as well, probably. Lots of content. I'm gonna do an EAFC stream sometime this weekend as well. Make United great again. That's the name of the show. So we'll be doing that as well. I'll try fit in maybe the Liverpool watch along. Maybe a Liverpool watch along on Sunday. I'm not too sure. It just depends on what my schedule is like that day. But it's bank holiday weekend here in the UK. If you're from the UK, then you know. After tomorrow, it's a 3-day weekend. Monday, I can't wait to just do another stream because that's what I'm going to do on Monday, man. You lot know what it is. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. I will be back tomorrow. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I'm so hungry, guys. I am so hungry. So I'm out of here, man. Peace.